Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear students, myself Dr. Ajay Semalti from HNB Gadwal University, Srinagar Gadwal, Uttarakhand. Welcome you again in our series of lectures on novel drug delivery systems. So, in the continuity of our previous lecture on nanotechnology and nanoparticles, we are here back with the next part of that lecture. So let's discuss the remaining aspects of nanotechnology and nanoparticles in this lecture. After going through this lecture, you will be able to characterize the nanoparticles, identify and learn the applications of nanoparticles in drug delivery. We will be covering this lecture under the heads characterization of nanoparticles and the applications. Now let us discuss formally our discussion on this aspect of characterization. Coming directly to the point that if we are developed in nanoparticles, we need to characterize them. Any dosage form, any delivery system needs the characterization. Now, in which properties, on which basis we can characterize the nanoparticles? First of all, drug properties. There are three major aspects you can characterize: drug properties, bulk properties, and their surface properties. In the drug properties, solubility, log p values, molecular weight. In the bulk properties, solubility and isoelectric point, purity, molecular weight distribution. In the surface properties, surface functional groups and charge, degree of unfolding, hydrophobic interaction. These may be the characterization parameters. However, the characterization parameter depends on the type of delivery system you have prepared and what kind of action you need from that delivery system, what kind of route of administration it is going to be administered by, and to which site of action it is going to target. So the parameters may vary depending upon these requirements. Now let us discuss the first and foremost thing is surface morphology and size. Now this is the holistic view which I am giving to you, that dynamic light scattering DLS, it gives the hydrodynamic radius of the particle and is very very expensive instrument, and but very fast and very reliable instrument. And we can have the nanoparticle size distribution and zeta potential analysis with the help of DLS, dynamic light scattering. Basically laser light scattering is determined in this instrument, number one. And number two, the photocorrelation spectroscopy, then in this velocity distribution by measuring the dynamic fluctuation of scattered light diffraction pattern is done, and we can have the average size, polydispersity index analysis, etc. And in the DLS also we can have the polydispersity index. Please do remember. An X-ray diffraction study, we do perform the crystallinity study with the help of diffraction patterns, and phase identification can be done. Particles, nanoparticle structure, size, and lattice parameters can be obtained. X-ray photoelectron spectroscopy, laser Doppler anemometry, thermogravity analysis DSC we can perform, and then TEM or STM can be performed for the surface morphology. So these were all the holistic view which we have given in with this table. So please try to learn, because addressing each and every technique would be very typical, but overall we must know we have addressed individually in almost all the techniques in previous lectures, so I'm not going to the much detail of each and everything. Okay, as far as the resolution scale of different method is concerned, we can see that this is the scale. If you say that for the light microscope, this is the scaling. Okay, that from 100 nanometer to 100 micron and plus, more than 100 micron, we can perform with the light microscope. With the electron microscope, we can have the range. This range we can have from around zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.5 nanometer to more than 100 micron. Okay, while the STM scanning tunneling microscope, what we can have, this is the range up to 10 nanometer, you know, 0.1 to 10 nanometer we can analyze with the STM. While the however, the STM range can go lower to the 0.1 nanometer and even to the 1 angstrom level. And AFM depth profiling can be done along with the STM depth profiling with the help of in this range. Okay, so we can analyze the atoms, amino acid, proteins, viruses. These are the, these are the range which you are seeing in this right part. If you see in this right part, this is the range of these general tissues and the, proteins, etc. So on the basis of the target organ or target things, we can select the basic parameters for the depending on the resolution of a particular technique. Okay, these are the characterization instruments: TM, XRD, SEM, Raman spectroscopy, DSC, and AFM. These all are very sophisticated instruments. We can have the images from TEM and SEM, okay, and they can be analyzed for the surface morphology as well as for the particle size with the SMTM. XRD can give, as you can see here, XRD can give the crystal change in crystallinity and various other aspects. Raman spectroscopy also provides various vital information. Thermal analysis, we can have the change in the endothermic peak, and depending on the performance, we can see the change what is going to happen in the nanoparticle formulation. And the AFM, where the close in-depth analysis can be done with this AFM analysis. So I do acknowledge Professor Rao. His lecture I heard in 2011 in the UGC Academic Staff College. It was a very good insight it was given by him. I duly acknowledge his address. Okay, it was a very eye-opening session. Thank you, Professor Rao. Now the most important parameters are particle size. You can do it by the DLS, SEM, TEM. Okay, polydispersity, you can do it by the DLS very effectively. And you need not to do anything, you will get it, automatically you will get by the instrument that polydispersity index. Drug loading, entrapment, you can perform. Zeta potential is also performed by the DLS. Drug loading, we perform by the, what we do, that the free drug are entrapped in a column, and only the loaded drugs are there in the column. And then we can have an idea that how much drug is loaded in the nanoparticles by this way. However, it's a typical thing until unless you have this provision to filter out the free drug which is not entrapped in nanoparticles. Okay, you cannot have the idea of exactly the drug entrapment. Okay, now moving to the fate of nanoparticles. As we see that depending on the size, surface charge, and hydrophobicity, the parental admission of nanoparticle, when it is done, the plasma protein absorption is done there, and then the complement activation occurs with the help of classical or alternate or lectin pathways. Then opsonization occurs. Endocytosis of nanoparticles follows. Then it can it can be uptaken by the mononuclear phagocyte system MPS, or the nanoparticle may get the may itself they experience the breakdown. When the breakdown of nanoparticle is occurring, then only humoral as cellular immune response occurs. So the nanoparticle breakdown leads to the release of the drug, and that the immune response occurs. So this is all about the fate of nanoparticle, because this is the fate of nanoparticle which is going to govern your overall response of the therapy. Nano drug delivery systems. Now we are moving to the application part. Apart from the characterization, that impact of nanotechnology on drug delivery system can be done either through the targeted drug delivery, improved delivery of the poorly water soluble drugs we can prepare. You might have heard about the curcumin nanoparticle. Curcumin is very hydrophobic phytoconstituent. With the help of nanoparticle development, we can prepare very water soluble form of the curcumin. Co-delivery of two or more drugs can be done with the help of nanoparticles, and imaging of drug delivery systems using the imaging techniques and modalities we can perform. As you can see, we will be discussing each and every component, that how almost that how it is affecting and how it is bringing about the change in the overall therapy, specialized therapies, especially with respect to the medical nanotechnology, in biomedicine, in nanomedicine. We say so nanomedicine is the application of nanotechnology in medicine, including to cure diseases and repair the damaged tissues such as bone, muscles and nerves. What is the key goal of nanomedicine? To develop cure for traditionally incurable diseases like cancer through the utilization of nanotechnology, and to provide more effective cure with fewer side effects by means of targeted drug delivery systems. Okay, and to have overall, you can say, the high localization of drug in the target site. So targeted drug delivery itself is self-evident and self-explanatory that what we are going to address with this kind of technology, with this kind of medicines, nanomedicines. Now let's take this example that targeted drug delivery, nanoparticle contained drugs are coated with some targeting agents or targeting moieties, which we have learned in the very starting lectures, our beginning lectures. We address this. Targeting moieties are like conjugated antibodies. They are attached to them, coated with them, and they identify the target organ. The nanoparticles, they circulate through the blood vessels and reach the target cells, and these targeting moieties identify the target organs or tumors, and drugs are released directly into the target cells. So by this way, as you can see in this diagram also, the nanoparticles are circulating, and only at the site of action they are being attached to the tumors, and then the drug is being released. So as you can see, the targeting moieties are there. Targeting moieties are attached here in the this nanoparticles, and basically they are having the key for the attachment, because we can develop the any other particle, but without targeting moieties it cannot identify the target organ or target site. So the targeting moieties are basically the driving force, or you can say they are this behind the success of the targeted drug delivery. Okay. Now, cell targeting, as we have also discussed in our targeted drug delivery, basically the leaky vasculature is there whenever the tumor is there. As you can see, in the normal circumstances, there is no leaks are there in the vasculature. So nanoparticles will go there only. So healthy tissues will remain unaffected because they are not affecting these healthy tissues. Okay, these healthy tissues are okay. Okay. Nanoparticles are not going to affect them, but if the tumors are there, the leaky vasculature will be there. In the tumor tissues case, in the surrounding of tumor tissues, the leaky vasculatures you can found, the leaks are there, and from there these nanoparticles will move through the vasculature, these leaky vasculatures, and will going to attach with the tumor with the help of targeting moieties, and then they will exert their effect on the cytotoxic effect on the tumor cells. So we can have a passive targeting approach with the help of through the nanoparticles, and this is mediated with the leaky vasculature, which is the natural phenomena when the tumor is there. Okay. Now nanoparticles in tumor targeting, if you say, the thermal ablation is also a technique. Thermal ablation of cancer cells. Nanoparticles have metallic on the outer layer and silica core they may have. As we have discussed that there may be inorganic or organic nanoparticles. So we are talking here specifically in this particular example, inorganic metallic nanoparticles have been prepared, and they are selectively attracted to the cancer cells either through a phenomena called enhanced permeation retention, EPR concept we addressed, hope you remember, or due to some molecules coated on the shells. The nanoshells, as you can see, the nanoshells, they are attached with the cancer cells in this aspect, and the nanoshells attached with the cancer cells here in this second stage, and with the help of near IR, they are exposed to the, they are heated with an external energy source like near IR, and then the thermal ablation will occur, and the cancer cell will be dead, and the healthy tissues will intact, healthy, they won't be affected. So as you can see, the healthy tissues are smiling. So because, so cytotoxic effect is less for the healthy tissues. Otherwise, in the non-specific drug delivery, the healthy tissues are also get their cytotoxic effect. So that's why this is the beauty of the nanoparticle, that they can target the tumor very selectively and kill them. So this is again the cell targeting with respect to the cancer cells. Gold nanoparticles, as we can see that these are the gold nanoparticles. As you can see here, these are the gold nanoparticles, and they, with the help of these moieties, these secondary antibodies which are targeting moiety or any other kind of targeting moiety, they are attached to the cell membrane, the cancer cells, and the laser radiation or the thermal ablation, the oscillation occurs, and this, due to this oscillation and thermal ablation maybe, or laser effect, these cells are damaged. So cancer cells are killed with these techniques. Now let's move to the biological imaging for the medical diagnostics, that and advanced drug delivery systems in medicine, they can be used. Biosensors for airborne and chemicals or other toxins. Regenerative medicines may be prepared more, they are more durable, rejection resistant artificial tissues, and for the artificial tissues and organs we can prepare with the help of these nanomedicines, or you can, the nanotechnology used in medicine can be employed for these various effects. Now let me tell you the example that how the nanotechnology can be used for the diagnostic purposes. For the diagnostic purposes, as you can see in this, the cantilever or the lab-on-chips, they are the two examples. Lab-on-chips help detection and diagnosis of disease for more efficiently, and early detection of cancer can be done. So lab-on-chip integrates one or more laboratory operation on a single chip. It provides a faster result and easy operation. So biochemical analysis and biodefense, we can use them. And nanowire in another example. Okay, as you can see in the cantilever or they say branded technology, trademark. Cantilever lab on chips help in early detection of cancer biomarkers. We will see in little bit detail that what is actually happening in the early cancer detection. Oligonucleotide, but CNTs are used, the carbon nanotubes, oligonucleotide modified CNTs, carbon nanotubes, are used as a high resolution atomic force microscopic tips to determine the targeted DNA sequence. Okay, it can detect the change in the single base mismatch. If you know, please remember, single base mismatch can be identified in a kilobase size DNA strand. Okay, that by this way we can have the detection of the early detection of the cancer. Okay. Now moving to the nanowire, if you see the nanowire, as you can see in this diagram, that the source enters here. Okay, they are metallic semiconductor of polymeric composites. Nanowire functionalized by ligands such as antibodies and oligonucleotides. It involves capturing the targeted molecules. The nanowire changes the conductivity. When it captures the targeted molecules, the conductivity is changed. Okay. It can detect up to 10 into 10 to the power minus 15 concentration. You can see that different molecules flow through the channels here, and selective binding of protein to appropriate nanowire is done, and it is conducted. The information is relayed through the electrodes to the computer. So by this way, when the current is opening, the conductivity will be changed, and even a slight change will be detected and will be supported with the change in conductivity. Now moving to the gold nanoparticles, as we have discussed that they are inorganic and organic nanoparticles. However, we address in the nanotechnology in the biomedicine and pharmaceutical science, most of the time we are discussing the organic nanoparticles. But the golds and silver nanoparticles, because of their non-toxic nature, they are used very effectively, and in various studies of the nanoparticle development, so they can have their impact. Okay, as you can see, the polymer conjugate with nanoparticles, and the antibodies can be attached with these gold nanoparticles, and they with the laser pulse they release the drug, and they can target the tumor tissues. Next part is pH sensitive insulin nanoparticles. We have discussed this earlier, if you remember, that they due to the leaky vasculatures, or you can say, sorry, we can prepare the systems in such a way that the insulin is raised only at the time of decrease in pH. When the glucose will level will be high, glucuronic acid will be released, and the pH will be lower. So when the pH will be lower, the only at that time this insulin will be released, and in the form of nanoparticles, they will be it will be absorbed very effectively. And when it is normalized, the pH is normalized, again the insulin release will be checked. So by this way we can also explore the insulin nanoparticles. The pH sensitive insulin nanoparticles are used for the diabetic patients. Now, surface modification. Surface modification, as you see, what we can do, as we did in microparticles, we can modify the surface of the nanoparticles with the help of either the PEG, that hydrophilic clouds we can develop with the PEG, that then they will not be detected as a foreign agent. So aseptic will not be there in that case if we give them the hydrophilic coating of polyethylene glycol, or the covalent conjugation of drug can be done, or the targeting ligand can be attached to that surface. Therapeutic drug or gene inside the matrix can be employed, and stimuli responsive elements can be added. So overall, targeting moieties are attached in surface, or surface is modified in such a way that their identification, or you can say agonistic property towards the receptor, towards the tumor receptor, is enhanced, and the selective targeting is done with the help of surface modification. And it may have various approaches. Please do refer that what are the various approaches of the surface modifications, and these are same in case of microparticles and also in their nanoparticles. So whatever you will read, it will serve the purpose for both the topics. The lotus effect, I'm just simply explaining it, that the nanostructures, let's the water droplet roll off the surface, taking dirt and other contaminants with it. So the time is going to come when the self-washable clothes will come into the market, because of their nano texture. So that in the same way, we won't be needing the washing of the clothes. So it is another approach of the nanotechnology for the textile industry. Now moving to the CNT, carbon nanotubes are the examples. As you can see here, the CNTs are the graphene's small diameter and longer length tubes are there. As you can see here, and we have also discussed these, that if few microns they may be, and they are very small in diameter. As you can see, they are in this figure also. They can make the product today, but not only in the medicine, they are being used in a variety of industry: engineering, technology, aviation industry, sports industry, clothes, textile industry, each and every aspect, wherever the possibility is there, the CNTs are used for making the product lighter, stronger. Mechanical properties are very good, very efficient, very high. They are very faster in terms of conductivity and all that, smaller, and they can make the product more durable when the CNTs are used. You name it and you will find the application with the CNT. Now let us see what are the carbon nanotubes. Actually, they are tubular form of carbon, what we have discussed little bit earlier, that with diameter as small as 1 nanometer and length of few nanometers to microns. They are configurationally equivalent to a single or multiple two-dimensional graphene sheets. Can you see here that these are strip of this graphene sheets, as you can see here, to a single or multiple two-dimensional graphene sheets. We can compare them with, they can be rolled into a tube, single wall, or the single wall or multiple wall, and this way the carbon nanotubes have this kind of configuration with the chiral chiral center. So carbon nanotubes has the wonderful properties, as we were discussing earlier also. They have the extraordinary mechanical properties. Okay, they have very good strength. Electrical conductivity is very good, higher than the copper even. It can be metallic or semiconducting depending on the chirality. Okay, very high current carrying capacity they have, good conductivity, excellent field emitter they are, and functionalization can be done. It means we can put targeting moiety there in the CNTs quite effectively, and we can plan them for, or plan them for the site specific or targeted delivery for the tumor and other organs and tissues. That's why the carbon nanotubes are very useful. If we talk about the nanotechnology, they have got a very huge role, and they are being investigated for a variety of applications. We are using, and by this way we can have very good applications of CNT. In electrons, we can in electronics, we can have the advantage with the help of quantum wire, data storage, diode, etc. Sensors, biosensors, lab on chips can be prepared with the help of CNTs. Nano electrodes, nano batteries, and so many applications in the electronics, electricals, aviation industries, and other industries. We can have lot many applications of these CNTs. So these are some of the references for you. Just go through, and you will find a lot many things. But nanotechnology is a very huge topic. Just remember uh, at least the main points. Okay. Now friends, let me summarize you whatever we have learned today in this lecture. We studied the characterization parameters, particle size, polydispersity, charts, spectral analysis can be done, thermal analysis can be done with the help of XRD, SEM, TEM, DLS. Various instruments are available, Raman spectroscopy, AFM. We can perform a variety of characterization parameters, obviously including the in vivo studies. In vivo studies we can perform for with the standard modelings, and we can see the plasma concentration time profile curve. Then the application, if you say that, from diagnostics to treatment and other applications can be done. Specifically in diagnostic, lab on chips can deliver. These are the examples for the early cancer detection. In the insulin delivery or pH sensitive insulin delivery, insulin nanoparticles can be prepared. The tumor targeting, passive targeting and active targeting with the help of targeting moieties. Surface modification can be done for specific targeting of the nanoparticle to the target organs or target tumors. And as far as the other examples are concerned, from textile, from engineering to textile to biomedical, there are enormous uses, applications. Even in the aviation industries, it is being used. So we can have a list of application on the different fields and learn them. So what you need to enlist the characterization parameters, study them, and give them. When the question is asked, just give at least some examples for each category, with the supported with some specific example. Specific example must be there whenever you are being asked, at least for applications. So applications 1 2 3 4, just enlist them and discuss them little bit at least, because otherwise it's a very big topic. So the time management is very important, especially when you are quite familiar with the particular topic and it is very hot topic. You can't give much more time to a particular question. So finally, I would like to conclude with the statement again that yes, nanotechnology is the future, and we are going to have in each and every component of our daily life, from medicine to from textile to transport, aviation industry, medicine, each and everywhere the nanotechnology is going to play the role and going to capture the market. So it is the high time we study the nanotechnology and the nanoparticles. So this was all from my side for this lecture. We'll be coming back with the only few remaining lectures on the node systems. Hope I have addressed the queries and whatever the lacking with respect to the covering the syllabi point of view. Actually, I am pointing out only the syllabi part. Otherwise, the covering each and every topic is itself a big task. So I'm trying it to have a problem solving attitude with respect to the exam point of view. Okay. Hope you will understand. So happy learning and be with us. Stay tuned for more lectures. Thank you.